You know that quote from the Velveteen Rabbit? It just perfectly captures what it means to become your true self. It's not about being perfect from the start. It's about the journey, right? The transformation. And that is exactly what we are diving into today.
All right, let's get into it. We're going to be exploring the core ideas from the book Choose Your Life. The authors basically frame our whole existence as a choice between two very, very different paths. And their argument is that, honestly, most of us are just not living up to our potential.
So on one side, you've got the ordinary life. This is life on autopilot. The book calls it a zombie-like state. You know the one, where we're just staring into our phones, totally clueless about what's really going on inside us or around us. But then there's this other path, an exceptional, almost magical life that opens up the second we decide to actually consciously choose it, living for right now instead of some imaginary someday. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that fundamental choice you have. Then we'll talk about how to wake up your own power, introduce you to the inner saboteurs that are holding you back, and this is a big one, learn how to be the author of your life, not the victim. And finally, we'll see how your new story can start, like right now. Okay, so the whole book, and really our whole conversation today, it all boils down to this one massive idea. You are the sole author of your life. Not a side character, not just some passive observer. You're the one holding the pen. Everything else we talk about is built on this foundation. The authors built their whole philosophy on these 5 powerful steps. See, it all starts with recognizing you have a choice, and once you see that, you can take full responsibility. That's what fuels you to take action, which is so much easier when you practice acceptance. And through it all, you have to remember to have fun. We're going to see these ideas pop up again and again. And that idea of choice, well, it leads us straight into our next big topic, waking up to your power. And look, this isn't some mystical, abstract thing. It's about something super practical and absolutely fundamental, awareness. This is the starting line for everything. Just think about it for a second. Let's say you wanted to drive to a city you've never been to before. What's the absolute first thing you need to do? I mean, it sounds so simple, right? But it's a step we completely blow past in our own lives. A GPS is totally useless if it doesn't know where you are right now. Without that little blue dot on the map, it can't give you directions. It's just stuck. And that is exactly what self-awareness is. It's your internal GPS. It's about being brutally honest and saying, okay, this is where I am. Emotionally, mentally, the habits I'm stuck in, all of it. Without that starting point, you can't possibly choose a new direction because you don't even realize you're not where you want to be. Okay, so once you have that awareness, you start to notice some things. You start to see the invisible forces that have been pulling the strings all along. The book calls these blockers or saboteurs. They're these unconscious patterns that keep us stuck, usually because they're trying to keep us safe. Just take a look at this list. Does one of these kind of jump out at you? Procrastination, perfectionism, self-doubt. These are just sneaky little strategies our ego uses to stop us from taking any real risks, right? Perfectionism says, let's wait for the perfect moment. That, spoiler alert, never comes. Overanalysis keeps us spinning in our heads so we never have to actually do anything. They're all designed to protect us from failure or looking foolish. And when we're under pressure, that's when our old programming, our old operating system just takes over. When you're faced with a challenge, what's your go-to? Do you automatically fight back? Do you run from the conflict? Do you just freeze up like a deer in headlights? Or maybe you're a people pleaser trying to make everyone happy to avoid the tension. Just knowing your default response is a huge, huge step in taking back the controls. All right, this brings us to the second massive principle from the book, and this one is a game changer. It's about making the shift from being a victim of your life to becoming the author of it. This is about taking what they call radical responsibility. And here's where we get to a really crucial distinction. Look, bad stuff is going to happen. That's pain. It's part of life. But suffering comes from the story we tell ourselves about the pain. It's the blame, the resistance, that feeling of being a helpless victim. And that part, according to this book, is a choice. Taking responsibility means asking yourself this tough question, even when it feels way easier to just point the finger at someone else. And listen, this is not about saying something was your fault. It's about finding your power by acknowledging how you participated in the reality you experienced. So the book gives us this simple framework to see our power. Did you maybe create the environment for something to happen? Like by neglecting a relationship, you create a space for things to go wrong? Did you allow it by just letting a behavior you didn't like happen over and over again? Or are you perpetuating it right now by holding on to that old story of anger and resentment?
The book uses this incredible metaphor to drive the point home. Imagine two guys get bitten by a snake. The first guy gets furious, and he chases the snake into the forest to get revenge. But while he's gone, the poison spreads through his body and he dies. The second guy, he ignores the snake and immediately focuses on getting the poison out of his own wound. He lives. The choice is so clear. Do you chase blame, or do you take responsibility for your own healing?
So, you've got the awareness. You're taking responsibility. What now? Well, this is where the fun starts. This is the moment you stop rereading the old, tired chapters of your life and you start writing a brand new one. The game is officially on. Now get ready for a total reframe that might just change how you see, well, everything you complain about. Just think for a second about what you complain about the most. Your job, your relationships, the state of the world. The author suggests that those complaints aren't just useless noise. What if they are actually signs pointing you directly toward your purpose? Think about it. Every single complaint reveals something you want to be different. You're pointing to a problem because you have a vision for a solution. The magic happens when you stop just complaining about the problem and ask yourself that one powerful question: what am I going to do about it? That right there turns your complaint from a passive grievance into an active mission. And we're going to end with this. It's a question that just cuts through all the excuses, all the noise, all the stories we tell ourselves. Deep down, you already know what needs to change. You know the choice you've been avoiding. So the only real question left is, are you going to make it?